In the eastern part of Salta, there are approximately over 25,000 Wichi people living, and they are traditionally hunter-gatherers that always lived in the forest and with resources taken from the forest. And in the last years, a huge part of the forest has been destroyed. There are laws that protect the people's places, but there's a lot of malinterpretation because they think that as indigenous communities don't grow crops in our traditional way of looking at it, they don't need land. So the first thing we do is to help people show the government how they use the land. There's not many people and there are not many Christians that witness what we see and the struggles people have every day. So what we try is to show that to the society in general, to governments first and have a decision power, but also to find allies in the rest of the society to help people to fight the struggles. Because it's a very unjust relationship between powerful companies or that in some cases have corruption links with local governments and people that don't have that power.
You know, I think the great thing about The Truth Isn't Sexy was it started with a bunch of friends in a pub. So Cy Johnston and I were sitting in Scooter Works Cafe in Waterloo, and he said, well, how much do you know about human trafficking? And you know, it's 2003, 2004, and we were sitting there, and I was like, well, nothing. What do you mean? People being brought from one country to the next? And he said, well, it's a bit more than that. And he started talking, you know, about people really being forced into forced servitude, and whether that was in manufacturing or into the sex industry. And I looked at him, I said, Cy, that can't exist. We've abolished slavery. And that's slavery, what you're talking about. And he said, well, Shannon, you're a smart girl, go home and do some research. And I started looking around, and even though there hadn't been a lot written at that time, everything I found out, I was like, well, we have to do something. The Truth Isn't Sexy was a campaign to address the demand side of human trafficking. So we rolled it out throughout the UK on coasters or beer mats and posters, really looking at how do we challenge the people that are paying for sex. It's driving 40 to 50% of human trafficking today. We created pub crawls up and down the country. We had 33 small groups across the country, so we had a huge group in Leeds that, I don't know, I think they passed out like 500 beer mats just on their own. And we went out and we put the beer mats in pubs. We had over 80 calls to the hotline on the front that was men reporting brothels that they suspected would have trafficked women. So we commissioned an external evaluation and found that 4 out of 10 men that saw the campaign in pubs and clubs had changed their opinion of paid sexual services. And 1 out of 4 became influencers of their peers. We could tell that guys were telling other guys, look, this isn't right.
When I first got involved in this idea of female genital mutilation, I thought I would be working across Africa. However, I found that by living in Britain, actually the practice is prevalent here as well. And I realised that actually, although I need to benchmark who's doing what, hold out my hand to doing educational interventions and medical or psychosocial interventions to help women overcome the trauma of the practice, there is also a great message of advocacy and lobbying. So, never having had any expertise in that, I started by talking a little bit to my MP. I had an hour with my MP the other week, and I've got her to lobby to the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary, the Women's Minister and the Minister in charge of the Department for International Development. I've had 3 meetings in the House of Lords as well with various people, Baroness Cox, Baroness Randall and Lord Hastings, who all advocate for this work. I think extraordinarily, if you have a little bit of cheeky charm and you're prepared to ask, people are prepared to help you on your way. Lobbying and advocacy is easy. You just need to write to an MP, get a PAC in your church, get a charter in your church, resource your youth group, make sure it's involved in your child protection policies, and there is no excuse not to make a small action.
There's something for everybody, that all of us can engage with an issue. And if you don't feel called to lead, look around. God's raising up leaders, people that are passionate about different issues. Can you get behind them? Can you support them?
This is the world of William Wilberforce. This is the world of abolishing slavery. This is the world of getting a woman's vote. I think we're all called as a biblical model to a justice ministry. We can't have our Bible and not notice the abundance of mentions of justice in there. And I think it is our job to get our hands dirty, to get involved, to reach out. And through reaching out, our life is richer, not poorer.
I think of a just world. I want to see justice. God tells us about in the Bible, be truth in the world. We are here to produce a difference.